Hello magical hands and welcome to another sewing tutorial. Today we are going to be recreating this slinky ruched maxi skirt, and if it's something you're interested in making, make sure you keep on watching and let's get into the video proper. On the pattern paper, we are just going to draft the basic points of a skirt. So the first point I marked is 9 inches, which is from my waist to my hip line, and I'll make a straight line across that point. The next point I marked 22 inches, which is from my waist to my knee line, and I'll just make a straight line across that point. So the starting point of this pattern paper is going to be the waistline, and then the full length, I'm just going to use the full length of the pattern paper because the length I want is actually longer than the pattern paper. So on the top part of the pattern paper, I'm going to mark my round waist measurements divided by 4, which gives me 8 inches. On the hip line, I'm going to mark my round hip measurement divided by 4, which gives me 10.25. And then on the knee length, I'm just going to go ahead and mark my hip measurement on the knee length. Then from that hip measurement, I'll go inwards by 1.5 inch. Okay, I'm going to just slant this down to the full length. The thing is, as you are marking this downwards, it should keep on going inwards so you can have that pencil, look. So just slant it inwards to the full length. And also when I'm cutting on the fabric, I will still bring it down inwards again to the full length because this is not the actual full length. So I just indicated what each of these lines stands for, and this is the pattern I'll use for both the front and the back piece. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. In my previous video, I made a no-sew dress with this fabric and I put out the whole details of the fabric, and I'm just going to go over it again. This is a sunray fabric and I have it in 2 yards, regardless that it has some cuts and some opening. I have it in 2 yards, and the length of this sunray fabric is 65 inches. It is longer than the regular length of a fabric, and one side of this sunray fabric is usually stretchy, that side that I'm pulling, but the other side is not as stretchy as the other side. If you don't have a sunray fabric and you're looking to make this, I think other fabric options would be stretchy fabrics. Looking at all the picture inspiration I saw on Pinterest, they were mostly made with stretchy fabrics. But then if you don't have a stretchy fabric within your reach, regular fabrics like when you're making a regular skirt can work. For example, a crepe can work, but be ready to add all the necessary allowance, same way you would sew your regular skirt. So now I marked the full length of the skirt, the actual length that I want, and I'm using 43 inches. This 43 inches includes all my seam allowance, and I'll go ahead and cut this out. Also, this is the back piece that I'm cutting out, and because like I said, the side of this sunray fabric does not stretch that much, I only added very little allowance, which at the end of the day I had to still trim it off because I noticed that I didn't need this allowance because of how a bit stretchy this fabric was. Make sure to cut your back piece open. Make sure to split them into 2 different parts. Now we'll bring out the pattern paper again. In order to cut the front piece, we are going to slash and spread from the waist to the hip line. Make sure your slash and spread stops exactly at the hip line. And now we can slash and spread this before cutting this on the fabric. We can just spread it open after we've slashed it. In order to transfer these front patterns to the skirt, we are going to fold our fabric into 2 and we are going to place it as seen. I place my tape from that side, not from the side that is spread, from the other side, and I will mark the full length of this skirt, which I also use 43 inches, including all my necessary seam allowance. Now we can start cutting this on the fabric. So initially I had this particular picture in mind with inspiration. This was the picture I had in mind. This skirt, the front piece is not supposed to have a joining down to the full length. It's just supposed to stop right there. But you guys, I totally forgot and I went and split the whole front open. So just in case you want to create that exact picture too, make sure to stop where the slash and spread stops, and the other part of the front piece will not have a divided line. Only this top slash and spread part will have the divided line, and then you can go ahead and gather it together. I hope it makes sense. But if you like what the recreation looks like, if you like what my own result looks like, fine, just go ahead and split it open like I did. On that hip line, we are going to notch that hip line inwards, and just notch it because that point is going to be a bit of a focus point. That's where the slash and spread stops. Make sure to notch. So I place this right face facing the right face, and I'm going to sew from that curved side down to the full length. So the allowance you added. For the back piece, because this is going to be a long pencil skirt, I want to be able to work properly in this. So I'm just going to mark and stop at my knee length, which is 22 inches. And from that 22 inches downwards is going to be the slit of this skirt. So you're going to make sure to sew up the allowance you added at that point, or if possibly sew more than the allowance if you're using a stretchy fabric, because like I said, this was later bigger than me, so I had to go ahead and still reduce the whole measurements. So this is what the back piece looked like after I had sewn it up, and I'm just going to hem the slit. After sewing the front piece, I'm going to take this elastic that I have here, and this elastic is just a bit bigger than the regular 1/2 inch, but it's not up to that very big band. So I'm going to use that elastic. You're also going to measure what you have from that notched part to the top point, and you're going to cut your elastic to half of that measurement. So I have my elastic here to 10 inches and to 6 inches, and that is what I'm going to use. I'm just going to sew it on it and gather it up. As you can see, the main point is to sew the elastic to the sewing allowance that is left, and make sure to pull it while you're sewing so you can gather up that part. This is what it looks like right now. Like, it might not be making sense, but once you put it on, once you wear it, it's going to relax on your body, it's going to stretch on your body very well. Now we are going to place the back piece on the front piece, and we are going to sew the side seams together. Make sure not to finish up one of the sides of the side seams so that you can pull your zip by the side, which should be for easy wearing. But if you're using a very stretchy fabric, trust me, you don't want to use any zip allowance at all. You just want to close up everything, because you can actually wear stretchy fabrics without zip, but you know why we use zip: for easy wearing. And so the zip part is optional depending on the fabric you're using. So in order to close the waistline, as you can see, this skirt does not have a lining, it does not have an interface. What I did was to pick out this long band that I cut, and it is 2 inches wide. I'm just going to place it right face facing the right face of the waistline, and I'm just going to take this and sew all around. After joining it together, you're going to fold it downwards, that is, fold it into the wrong face. And for a closer view, once you fold it inwards, you see that part where we have joinings. That is how you are going to sew as indicated, and make sure that the sewing is going to be directly on where these skirts have joinings, okay? So it's not visible on the good face that you did a very rough work. Make sure it is in that sewing line, okay? As you folded it, just sew as indicated. That is going to make the work very neat and very relaxed. So we've come to the end of this tutorial. You guys, if you learned something, please make sure to hit on the like button. If you didn't, make sure to hit on the dislike button. Whichever way you feel about this video, make sure to engage using all the buttons displayed there. And see you in my next tutorial. Bye.